Why you feel chemistry with unavailable people. Many people say the same thing after a painful relationship. They say, "I don't understand why I keep feeling such strong chemistry with people who cannot love me back." They meet someone emotionally available, kind, consistent, and it feels calm, but not exciting. Then they meet someone distant, unpredictable, hard to read, and suddenly the attraction feels electric. The mind calls it chemistry, the body calls it excitement. But very often what you're feeling is not chemistry, it is activation of your attachment system. Chemistry is a word people use to describe a strong emotional and physiological reaction to another person. But your nervous system does not only react to compatibility, it also reacts to familiarity. If your early experiences of love were inconsistent, emotionally distant, or unpredictable, your body may have learned to associate those conditions with connection. So when you meet someone who behaves in similar ways, your nervous system recognizes the pattern. Recognition creates intensity, and intensity gets interpreted as attraction. This does not mean there is something wrong with you. It means your nervous system learned a specific blueprint for love. For many people, this blueprint was formed in childhood. Children learn what love feels like through the emotional environment around them. If caregivers were inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, critical, unpredictable, or difficult to reach, the child adapts in order to maintain connection. The child learns to work harder for attention, to monitor moods, to wait, to chase, to hope. Love becomes associated with effort and uncertainty. The nervous system stores these experiences not as conscious memories, but as emotional patterns. So later in life, when you meet someone who behaves in ways that resemble those early dynamics, something inside you activates. Your body recognizes the emotional landscape. Your mind may say this person is difficult, distant, or confusing, but your nervous system says this feels familiar. And familiarity often feels like chemistry. Emotionally unavailable people tend to create a specific dynamic that intensifies this feeling. They are often warm and attentive in the beginning. The early stage of the relationship may include strong attraction, attention, affection, and emotional closeness. This creates dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward and anticipation. Your brain starts linking that person with pleasure and possibility. But then something shifts. The person pulls away. Communication becomes inconsistent. Closeness is replaced with distance. Now the nervous system becomes activated. When something that once felt rewarding becomes uncertain, the brain produces even more dopamine in anticipation of getting the reward back. This is the same mechanism that makes intermittent rewards so addictive. When rewards are unpredictable, the brain works harder to obtain them. So when the emotionally unavailable partner returns with affection, attention, or reassurance, the relief feels powerful. The nervous system experiences a spike of pleasure and hope. The mind interprets that emotional roller coaster as passion or deep connection. But what is actually happening is a cycle of activation and relief. The intensity comes from the uncertainty. Secure relationships do not usually create this roller coaster. When someone is emotionally available, they tend to be consistent. They respond, they communicate, they show up. There is less guessing, less waiting, less chasing. For someone whose nervous system is used to unpredictability, this stability can initially feel unfamiliar. Instead of excitement, it may feel neutral. Instead of adrenaline, it feels calm. Many people mistake this calmness for lack of chemistry. But calm does not mean lack of attraction. It means the nervous system is not being pushed into survival mode. Another reason chemistry appears stronger with unavailable people is projection. When someone is distant or emotionally guarded, you often know very little about them internally. Because there is not much emotional information available, the mind fills the gaps. You imagine their depth. You imagine their intentions. You imagine the potential of the relationship. The less accessible someone is, the more space there is for fantasy. You begin to project qualities onto them that may not actually exist in their behavior. The person becomes not just who they are, but who you hope they could become. The attraction becomes tied to potential rather than reality. When someone is emotionally open and present, there is less room for projection. You see them more clearly, which sometimes feels less mysterious and therefore less intense. This does not mean the connection is weaker. It means it is based on reality rather than imagination. Attachment patterns also play a role. People with anxious attachment often feel drawn to avoidant partners because the dynamic recreates familiar emotional conditions. The anxious partner seeks closeness and reassurance. The avoidant partner seeks distance and autonomy. This push-pull dynamic creates constant emotional movement. Each moment of closeness feels like success. Each moment of distance feels like threat. The nervous system stays activated, scanning for signals of connection or withdrawal. Activation gets labeled as chemistry. But chemistry that depends on instability is not the same as compatibility. Compatibility is about shared values, emotional capacity, communication, and mutual effort. Chemistry is simply the body reacting. When trauma or emotional deprivation shaped your attachment system, the body may react most strongly to people who trigger those old patterns. That does not mean those people are right for you. It means they feel familiar. Another element in this dynamic is the desire for resolution. When someone reminds your nervous system of early attachment wounds, a deep unconscious part of you may try to resolve the past through the present. The mind thinks, if I can make this person love me, stay, choose me, or understand me, then the old pain will finally heal. This creates powerful motivation to stay invested, even when the relationship is painful. The attraction becomes tied not only to the person, but to the hope of emotional repair. But unresolved wounds cannot be healed through people who repeat the same patterns. Healing requires awareness. The moment you begin to recognize that chemistry can be a trauma signal, not just a compatibility signal, something shifts. Instead of asking, why do I feel so attracted to them? You start asking, what does my nervous system recognize here? You begin observing your internal reactions. Does this connection make me feel grounded or anxious? Do I feel safe expressing my needs, or do I feel afraid of pushing them away? Is the attraction based on who this person consistently shows themselves to be, or on who I hope they could become? These questions help move you from unconscious attraction to conscious choice. As you heal and develop more secure attachment patterns, your nervous system slowly recalibrates. What once felt boring may start to feel peaceful. What once felt exciting may start to feel exhausting. The type of person you feel drawn to begins to change. Secure relationships still have attraction, passion, and emotional depth, but the intensity does not come from instability, it comes from genuine connection. There is curiosity instead of anxiety, presence instead of chasing, closeness that grows steadily rather than appearing and disappearing. This kind of connection may feel unfamiliar at first if your nervous system is used to chaos, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong, it often means healthier. Learning to differentiate between trauma activation and true compatibility is one of the most important parts of healing attachment patterns. Real chemistry is not just intensity. It is emotional safety, mutual interest, respect, and consistency. The person who feels electrifying but leaves you confused, anxious, and constantly trying to earn their love may not be your soulmate. They may simply be activating a pattern your nervous system learned long ago. And healing means learning that love does not have to feel like uncertainty to be real. Sometimes the healthiest connection will feel quieter at first, but over time it becomes something far more powerful than adrenaline. It becomes stability, emotional safety, and genuine intimacy, and that kind of connection does not burn quickly and disappear. It grows.